Goober Gang, in this video we're going to show you how to install a trolling motor on your John boat. To pull this install off, we're going to need a couple things. We're going to need a drill with a 1/4-inch drill bit. We're going to need this quick release motor guide bracket. I really like those, you can pop them on and off. I use this trolling motor on my boat and my kayak, so I want to make sure I can pop it off really quick with just the pull of this little lever right here. Slide that out and it can transfer. And I put together this little wiring harness right here. This plug is the same one I have in my kayak. It's a 70 amp Marinco plug, and I've got everything we're gonna use today down in the description below, so definitely check out those links. That's gonna go through some 8-gauge wire down to a 60 amp waterproof breaker. You can trip that, cut power, put it back together, good to go. And we're gonna run that to an Anderson plug, but we're gonna disconnect right here, route that wiring, and we're actually gonna mount that up inside the boat, right up in here, so I can store my battery underneath the deck, have a nice clean install up top, and be good to go. The last piece of equipment we're gonna use today is a 1 7/8 inch hole saw. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's get to it. Now, one of the first things you're gonna wanna do is install the puck on the bottom of your trolling motor. This is a quick release bracket. This right here is the piece that slides inside of that, and then you put the pin through and that locks it to the boat. We need to figure out exactly where to mount this on the boat. So what you're gonna wanna do is get that up on the boat, and we wanna really think about how we want this to lay. Do we want it to go right down the side of the gunnel? Do we want it angled out a little bit? How exactly do we want that to go? For my situation here, you can see there's already been a couple holes drilled in this boat. We've got this diagonal edge right here. So we want to get this, in my case, pretty close to the edge. I want to maximize my deck space. This isn't the widest boat in the world, so we're going to keep that in mind as we go. We also need to make sure the trolling motor is going to clear this part of the gunnel right here. So I'm just going to play around with this a little bit. I'm going to drop the trolling motor down. Just kind of move it around until I find that I've got about 1/2 inch of clearance or so, and something about there is going to look good. So now we're going to put the pedal down, try and lift this up without moving it. And then when you lift your trolling motor off, you've got the puck right where you want to mount it. From there you can go ahead and drill your holes, then drop in your screws with your washers attached. On this install, I'm only going to be able to get 3 of these screws in here. This one goes right through the edge of the gunnel here. And playing around with it underneath. I tried drilling that hole, but I'm not going to be able to get a washer and a nut underneath it, so we'll just do these 3, and that'll be plenty strong. Nice thing about this little kit is it does come with all the hardware that you need. And a really nice thing about this boat is I do have access to underneath this little pedestal. This is made out of aluminum. If you don't have one similar to that, you might want to consider building one or having a fabricator build one for you. That's going to help me take a washer and a nylon lock nut and put that underneath. I'm just going to get those started finger tight for now, and we'll come back and tighten them down in a second. From there you can take a crescent wrench and adjust that down, get the nut on the back side of your bolt here, and tighten it down with the included Allen wrench. Now that puck is on there rock solid. I can shake the whole boat with it. We're gonna pop the trolling motor on there real quick, slide in the locking pin, and double check fitment. Looks like it's gonna work great. Last piece of the puzzle is figuring out your wiring routing. So I've got this whole access hatch under here that goes all the way to the bow of the boat, which I'm thinking I'm gonna install right about here. Nice thing is I can take my trolling motor plug, run it underneath this little mount, come out and plug right in. So all that wire is gonna be hidden in there, and I can just shove it underneath. Nice clean install. Now I want my trolling motor plug to plug into the receptacle, and I want that to sit right about here, just to kind of minimize my cable routing. So I looked underneath the deck, and that looks like a really good spot. We're gonna take our drill and just go for it. Make sure you really think about this before you go for it, because there's no going back. I left my fuse on the end of my wire run that's gonna have my Anderson plug on it. These 2 little nodules just plug right into there when I'm done. But I need to route this through, and that fuse is not gonna fit through the hole. So I'm gonna pop that off really quick. I want the fuse right down by my battery as close as I can, make sure everything fits. It's gonna be perfect. Hole looks to be just the right size, so 1 7/8 inch was a good fit. I'm gonna take this little backing ring off. That's just gonna lock it to the deck from underneath, feed the wires in. We can go retrieve those easily in a second. And there we go. I'm gonna get underneath the boat and screw on that cap, and that's gonna tighten everything down here. All right, we're going in. The rest of our connections are gonna happen underneath down here. We're gonna put this fuse panel back on. Now you can probably see why I wanted to run this wire right here, so it's really easy to work on things if I need to. I'll get that hand tight and tighten it up with the crescent wrench. The other nice thing here is if we ever have an electrical issue with our trolling motor, all we gotta do is press that button and the power is cut to it. With your Anderson plug, just make sure you got your positive and your negative straight. Put your clip right into your positive. It snaps right in. Same thing with your negative, and you're off to the races. Here's the battery I'm going to use for this boat. This is a 100 amp hour 12.8 volt, so 12 volt trolling motor. This is the mini version, so it's much smaller than your typical 12 volt 100 amp hour batteries. As you can see, I've got an Anderson plug on here. So just got to get that underneath our hatch and connect our wires. A simple snap. And we've got power. In order to get this trolling motor fired up, all we've got to do is plug our motor in right here. And look at that, motor's fired up. Well, I hope that video was helpful and helps you get your bow mount trolling motor installed so you can get on the water. If that helped you out, give us a thumbs up and check us out for some more videos. Definitely don't do this when it's 90 degrees out. I'm soaked, we're going to the pool. See you on the next one, guys. Just because this video is over doesn't mean the fun has to stop here. Check out these videos down below. Catch you some more goobers while you wait for our next video to drop. Later.